Hi, welcome to Purpose Driven Church Unificationists. We are continuing this section on designing a seeker sensitive service. And if you remember from the previous chapter, Warren is talking about practical ways to improve a service, to make it better, not just for seekers. In my opinion, it's for everybody. These are really great tips and really practical, good practical advice. Um, we left off by just talking about how a lot of visitors, most visitors when they come, their first feeling is of fear and apprehension because they're going to a totally new place. They may not know people there, and especially if they come to a new, like a totally different kind of environment like ours, they're wondering what they're going to experience. So we could do a lot to alleviate those fears by not singling them out, making them, introduce themselves if they don't want to, and so on and so forth. But fundamentally, he's just saying, think things through from the point of view of the visitor. How would you feel if you were the visitor, and what would you want to experience? Um, so he goes on to talk a little bit about registration cards. They really like to use these. They actually have everyone fill them out, not just guests, but everybody. And they get a lot of really valuable data from these cards in terms of like what are needs of people, what are they thinking, things that they may not necessarily feel comfortable to say in public, but they will say it like on a card. Um, he encourages that we not use registration books that are passed around down the rows because they violate anonymity. Um, he really encourages that we use a welcome that really relaxes people. For example, they say, "Welcome to Sunday at Saddleback. We're glad you're here. If you're here for the first time, we want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the service we've planned for you." It's very simple, not expecting a lot from a visitor. They even suggest, like for them, what they do is they offer a disclaimer about the offering. They don't expect people who are first-time guests to give. They just want them to come and experience what they've prepared for them. And then what they also begin and end each service with greeting with one another. He says if you're going to use name tags, make sure everybody gets one, not just guests. And then he also talks about refreshment tables. Of course, we have a whole lunch besides our cafe and besides the coffee and tea and stuff downstairs. But just in general, he says that visitors tend to hang around longer after a service if you can get a cup of coffee and a donut into their hands. This also gives members a chance to meet them, and eating tends to relax people in social settings. He says, I don't know why it works, but somehow a 300-pound guy feels more secure in an unfamiliar crowd if he has a small styrofoam cup of coffee to hide behind, which is really true. I mean, I've experienced that exact same thing before. um, he says that if you look at Jesus' ministry, he did a lot of his teaching when people were walking or eating with him. And he says, I believe this is very intentional. When people are relaxed, they listen better and they are more open to change. Now he talks about brightening up the environment. I really, really like this part. I think it's really, really awesome. It's something that we really need to take into consideration. He says, facilities and physical environment have a lot to do with what happens in your service. The shape of your building will shape your service. Walk into some buildings and your mood will instantly brighten. Walk into others and you'll feel depressed. Just as the shape of a room can change a mood instantly, so can its temperature and its lighting. Be aware of these factors and use them. Figure out what mood you want your service to project and then create it. At Saddleback, we summarize the mood we want in our seeker service with the word celebration. So we are fanatical about creating a light, bright, cheerful environment. Visitors can sense this the moment they enter the facility. Look at your facilities from the eyes of a visitor and try to determine what message your building is communicating. What is it saying? Does an entrance with heavy dark wood doors give off a different message than one with glass doors? Of course it does. Even before the service begins, visitors are making value judgments about your church. The moment they get out of their cars in your parking lot, they begin picking up clues by looking at the grounds around your facilities. Does your landscaping appear well kept? Is the grass mowed and are the hedges trimmed? Is there trash lying around? Does the church sign need to be painted? Cleanliness is attractive. Dirty, unkept grounds and facilities are repulsive. Sometimes the message of the facility contradicts the message intended by your church. You may be saying, we're friendly, but your building may be saying, we're cold and impersonal. You may claim we're relevant, but your building may be screaming, we're 50 years behind the times. It's difficult to project a we've got it all together image if your building is falling apart. So that's all I'm going to cover for today. We're going to keep going with this tomorrow, but Yeah, definitely a lot of really great food for thought, and it kind of comes down to consistency and integrity. If we say we're happy and joyful, if we say that we are, really excited, that we know true parents, we have the divine principle, it should project in all different areas of our life. However, many times I've gone to our churches and felt very heavy and felt kind of almost like a depressed feeling. And I can understand where that's coming from because we have a lot of responsibility, but we also have to project what we what is really true to ourselves and also what we want for people to experience. So that is what I have for today. Thanks a lot. See you tomorrow.